The rain pounded against the tall glass windows of Ethan Marlowe's downtown Chicago office, mirroring the dark clouds of his meticulously managed thoughts. Inside the spacious room, every detail spoke of control, from the perfectly aligned architectural blueprints on his desk to the minimalist decor of the space. At 38, Ethan had built his reputation as one of the country's most innovative architects. His designs were iconic, and his life was no different, streamlined, efficient, and flawless. Ethan leaned back in his leather chair, his piercing gaze fixed on the towering skyline outside. His current focus was a multi-million-dollar urban project, and as usual, nothing in his life existed outside the scope of his work. Yet, as he reviewed his latest proposals, a sharp buzz from his desk phone shattered the calm. "Mr. Marlowe, there's an urgent call from Mercy General Hospital," his assistant's voice came through, tinged with unease. Ethan frowned, his fingers pausing mid-air over a model of his latest design. "Hospital? I don't have any appointments there." Billy insisted. "Sir," she hesitated. "It's about Maya Castillo." The name hit him like a lightning bolt. Maya. It had been 8 months since their last conversation, a heated argument that ended their relationship. The memory of her voice, full of determination and frustration, echoed in his mind. She was vibrant, outspoken, and unpredictable. Everything Ethan tried to avoid, but everything he couldn't quite forget. She had once managed to breach the walls of his carefully constructed world, leaving a crack he never fully repaired. "Put them through," Ethan said, tension coiling in his chest. "Mr. Marlowe?" A calm but professional voice came on the line. "This is Dr. Rebecca Chen from Mercy General's NICU. You're listed as Maya Castillo's emergency contact. She's just given birth to a premature baby boy. There have been complications, and we need you here immediately." Ethan's world, once so carefully designed, began to crumble. Ethan gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles white as he navigated the rain-slicked streets of Chicago. The words from the call echoed in his head. Maya Castillo, premature baby boy, complications. None of it made sense. Maya had been pregnant? And he was the emergency contact? His mind raced through fragmented memories of their last encounter. 8 months ago, they had parted ways, both convinced their worlds were too different to coexist. Maya had wanted more connection, more vulnerability, while Ethan had clung to the precision of his solitary life. The city blurred outside the windows as his thoughts spiraled. Why hadn't she told him? Had she tried? His stomach twisted at the thought of unread messages or missed calls. The towering facade of Mercy General Hospital came into view, its glowing sign piercing through the storm. Ethan pulled into the parking lot, his pulse thundering in his ears. Inside, the antiseptic smell hit him immediately, sharp and clinical, unlike the comforting leather and coffee scent of his office. The steady hiss of ventilators and rhythmic beeping of monitors filled the air, each sound driving home the fragility of the lives within these walls. A nurse directed him to the 6th floor. The elevator ride felt eternal, each ding tightening the knot in his chest. When the doors opened, the cold blue light of the neonatal intensive care unit, NICU, greeted him, along with a wall of unfamiliar sounds. The steady beeping of monitors, the hiss of ventilators, and the quiet murmur of concerned voices. "Mr. Marlowe," Dr. Rebecca Chen greeted him at the entrance, her expression composed but serious. "Thank you for coming. Maya is in critical condition due to severe preeclampsia. She's currently unconscious. Your son, Oliver, was born at 31 weeks. He's stable, but very fragile." "My son?" Ethan's voice cracked, the word foreign on his tongue. "This way," Dr. Chen said, leading him deeper into the ward. Ethan followed Dr. Chen through the maze of the NICU, the world around him a blur of machines and tiny lives encased in incubators. The steady beeps of monitors felt like a foreign language, one he was unprepared to decipher. "This is your son," Dr. Chen said softly, stopping in front of an incubator tucked in the corner. Ethan froze. Inside, a tiny figure lay surrounded by wires and tubes. Oliver's skin was nearly translucent, his chest rising and falling with mechanical precision under the assistance of a ventilator. The smallness of him, no bigger than a loaf of bread, was overwhelming. Was born at just over 3 pounds, Dr. Chen continued. He's stable for now, but will require surgery to correct a heart defect. We'll need your consent to proceed. Ethan stared at the child, his child, struggling to process the enormity of what he was seeing. He had designed skyscrapers, bridges, entire cityscapes, but none of that prepared him for the vulnerability of the life in front of him. A pang of guilt struck him as he realized how many moments of this journey he had already missed. "Can I touch him?" he asked, his voice barely audible. Dr. Chen nodded. "Use the port in the incubator. Be gentle." Ethan reached through the clear plastic barrier, his hands trembling. His finger brushed against Oliver's impossibly tiny hand, and to his shock, the baby's fingers curled instinctively around his. The touch sent a jolt through him, something raw and unnameable. "He's a fighter," Dr. Chen said, her voice steady but warm. "Premature babies like Oliver face a lot of challenges, but he's holding his own so far." Ethan swallowed hard, unable to tear his eyes away. He felt a surge of emotions he couldn't name: fear, guilt, and something unfamiliar. "Hope?" The doctor handed him a clipboard. "The surgery needs to happen within the next few hours. To give him the best chance, we need your signature." Ethan's gaze shifted to the consent form, the weight of the pen in his hand feeling heavier than anything he'd ever held. He signed his name, each stroke of the pen an unspoken promise to the child in the incubator. As he handed the form back, Ethan whispered, "Fight, Oliver, I'll be here." For the first time in his life, Ethan Marlowe felt the foundations of his meticulously constructed world begin to shift. Ethan sat in a quiet corner of the NICU waiting room, the weight of the consent form still heavy in his mind. His thoughts were interrupted by a nurse approaching with a small bag. "These are Maya's personal items," she said gently. "You might want to look through them. It could help." Ethan nodded, his throat dry, and accepted the bag. Inside, he found a journal with a worn leather cover. As he flipped through the pages, Maya's familiar handwriting filled the lines. The first few entries were light-hearted musings about her pregnancy, her cravings for spicy food, the excitement of the first ultrasound. But as he read further, the tone shifted. "Week 24. The doctor says it's a boy. I wish I could tell Ethan, but he's built so many walls. Would he even want to know? Still, I believe he'd be a wonderful father, if he let himself. Week 28. The preeclampsia diagnosis is terrifying. The risks are real, but this little one is strong. I just have to hold on a little longer. I've never fought this hard for anything." Ethan's hands shook as he read entry after entry, each one a testament to Maya's strength and unwavering hope. She had faced every challenge of her pregnancy alone, carrying the weight of both her health and their son's survival. At the bottom of the bag, Ethan found a USB drive. With a mix of curiosity and dread, he borrowed a laptop from the nurse's station and plugged it in. Maya's face filled the screen, her eyes tired but determined. "Week 16, her voice said, slightly muffled by the recording. "This is for you, little one. One day, when you're older, I hope you'll know how much you were loved from the very beginning." She paused, her expression softening. "And for Ethan, if you're watching this, I hope you know I never stopped believing in you, even when you couldn't believe in yourself." Ethan sat frozen, tears stinging his eyes as guilt and admiration washed over him in waves. The videos played on, each one capturing Maya's dreams for their son and her unwavering belief in Ethan. A belief he was only now beginning to feel he could live up to. Her words felt like a lifeline, pulling him from the isolation of his guilt and into the realization of how much he'd missed and how much he needed to change. For the first time in years, Ethan let the tears fall freely. "I'll make this right," he vowed silently, gripping the journal. "For her, for Oliver, for us." The late-night quiet of the NICU was shattered by the sudden, frantic beeping of Oliver's monitors. Ethan, seated nearby with Maya's journal in his lap, bolted upright as a team of nurses rushed to his son's incubator. "What's happening?" he demanded, his voice breaking. Dr. Chen appeared, her expression calm but serious. Oliver is showing signs of a systemic infection. We've started antibiotics, but his immune system is very weak. The next 24 hours will be critical. Ethan's knees felt like they might give out. Is there anything I can do? Dr. Chin placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Talk to him. Premature babies respond to familiar voices. It can make a difference. Ethan pulled a chair close to the incubator, his hands trembling as he reached for the clear plastic barrier. His son's tiny chest struggled to rise and fall, and the sight pierced Ethan in a way he didn't think possible. Hey, Oliver, he began, his voice hoarse. It's me, your dad. I know you're fighting hard. I need you to keep fighting, okay? Your mom's not awake yet, but she's a fighter too. You've got her strength. You've got this. Through the night, Ethan stayed by Oliver's side, speaking to him softly. Between whispers of encouragement, he played Maya's video diaries on his phone, letting her voice fill the sterile room. Week 30, Maya's recorded voice said. The doctors are worried, but I'm not. You're strong, Oliver. You've got your father's determination and my stubbornness. That's a winning combination. The hours crawled by, each beep of the monitors a lifeline. By morning, Dr. Chen returned with cautious optimism. His fever is responding to the antibiotics, she said. He's not out of the woods, but this is a good sign. Ethan exhaled a shaky breath, his head dropping into his hands. For the first time in days, he felt a spark of hope. Thank you, Oliver, he whispered, glancing at the tiny fighter in the incubator. You're showing me what it really means to be strong. Ethan was pacing the NICU corridor, his phone silent in his pocket, when a nurse approached with a cautious smile. Mr. Marlowe, she said softly, Maya Castillo has regained consciousness. She's asking for you. The words hit him like a wave. After weeks of uncertainty, Maya was awake. He nodded mutely and followed the nurse to the ICU, his heart pounding with a mixture of relief and trepidation. Inside the room, Maya lay propped up slightly, her face pale, but her eyes, those familiar, fierce eyes, were open and alert. She turned her head as he entered, her gaze locking onto his. Ethan, she whispered, her voice raspy from disuse. He crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling a chair close to her bed. I'm here, he said, his voice tight with emotion. Her lips trembled. Oliver, is he... He's perfect, Ethan interrupted quickly. He's fighting hard, just like you. The doctors say he's getting stronger every day. Tears welled in Maya's eyes as her head sank back against the pillow. You stayed? I'm not going anywhere, he said, his voice steady. Not now. Not ever again. Maya studied him, searching his face for something. You know, she finally said. Ethan nodded. The journal, the videos. I've been watching them with Oliver. He already knows your voice. Her tears fell freely now, but her expression was one of quiet gratitude. I was so scared you'd never know, that you wouldn't care. I care, he said firmly, taking her hand. I care more than I ever thought possible. These weeks have taught me what it means to love selflessly, to be someone worthy of both of you. Maya squeezed his hand weakly, her tears mixing with a soft, tired smile. Tell me about him, she murmured. Tell me everything I missed. And Ethan did, recounting every precious moment. Oliver's first grasp, his progress in weight, his small but mighty fight for life. As he spoke, he realized that this was the beginning of something new, something that had the power to heal all the fractures of their past. The day was crisp and clear, a bright autumn morning in Chicago, as Ethan carefully secured Oliver's car seat in the back of his SUV. Maya sat beside their son, her hand resting protectively on the blanket tucked around him. After 93 days in the NICU, they were finally bringing Oliver home. Drive slower than usual, Maya said softly, her voice still tinged with fatigue but steady. Ethan glanced at her through the rearview mirror, a small smile on his lips. Slower? I'm practically crawling. The hospital had given them detailed instructions, from feeding schedules to emergency protocols, but no list could prepare them for the sheer enormity of the moment. For Maya, it was the culmination of months of sacrifice. For Ethan, it was the first chapter in a life he was only beginning to understand. When they arrived at the penthouse, Ethan carried Oliver's car seat while Maya leaned on a cane for support. Inside, the sleek, modern space had been transformed. Family photos lined the walls, and soft rugs and plush throws added warmth. In the nursery, the painted stars glimmered on the ceiling as sunlight poured through the windows. "This is your room, Oliver," Maya whispered as Ethan placed him gently in the crib. Ethan stood beside her, his arm around her waist. "Welcome home, buddy," he said softly. They stayed there for a long moment, gazing at their son as he slept peacefully under the constellation of stars. For the first time in months, the weight of fear and uncertainty lifted, replaced by a quiet, hopeful resolve. "We did it," Maya whispered, resting her head on Ethan's shoulder. "No," Ethan corrected, his voice full of emotion. "We're just getting started." That evening, the penthouse felt alive in a way it never had before. The quiet hum of the baby monitor mingled with the soft glow of warm lighting, and the faint scent of lavender from a nearby diffuser filled the air. Maya rested in the rocking chair, gently swaying as she watched Oliver sleep in his crib. Ethan sat nearby, his laptop open, but it wasn't work that occupied his screen. He was scrolling through photos from the NICU, Oliver's first day, his first bottle, and the moment Maya had finally met him. Each image was a reminder of the journey they had endured to get here. "You've been quiet," Maya said, her voice soft but curious. Ethan looked up, his expression thoughtful. "I've just been thinking. For years, I thought success was measured in blueprints, awards, and profit margins. But sitting here, watching him sleep, I finally get it." Maya tilted her head, waiting. "It's not about what I've built out there," Ethan said, gesturing toward the city skyline beyond the windows. "It's about what we're building in here." Maya reached for his hand, their fingers intertwining. "It's never too late to start over, Ethan, to build something real." He nodded, his voice steady but full of emotion. "No more running. No more hiding behind work. I want to be here, with you, with him, for every challenge, every laugh, and every imperfect, beautiful moment." As they sat together, the quiet was broken by a soft whimper from the crib. Instinctively, both parents moved Maya to the rocking chair and Ethan to the bottle warmer. Their movements were fluid now, practiced and confident. With Oliver nestled in her arms and Ethan seated beside her, they found their rhythm, not as individuals but as a family. The painted stars above glimmered softly, reflecting the light of the city beyond, as the Marlowes embraced the imperfect, unpredictable, and beautifully real life they were creating together. This wasn't the end of their story, it was just the beginning.